There comes a moment in life when you realize that running after money is the very reason it keeps running away. We are trained to believe that success is a desperate chase, that wealth rewards only those who struggle endlessly, sacrifice happiness, and fight for every penny. But what if the opposite is true? What if the very act of chasing signals to the universe that you do not possess what you seek? Money has never been impressed by desperation. It is drawn to certainty, to a mind that moves with the confidence of already having, already becoming, already living as the one who deserves abundance. When you embody wealth internally, money recognizes you, and it comes. Not slowly, not reluctantly. It flows, it chases, it finds its way to the one who finally stops seeking approval from the outside world and begins commanding reality from the inside. You are not here to be a beggar of life's riches. You are here to remember that everything you desire is already yours in potential, and only your belief unlocks its physical form. Every thought you repeat, every inner argument you feed, every doubt you entertain becomes the architecture of your financial reality. Scarcity is not something that happens to you. It is something that arises from within you, and the same inner power that created lack can create limitless wealth. The moment you stop bowing to circumstances and start seeing yourself as the one who money is drawn to, life reorganizes itself around that identity. Wealth is not a future destination, it is a present state of being. Today I'm here to tell you this truth. Money will chase you when you stop acting like someone who needs it to feel complete. When you no longer fight for it, fear it, or feel inferior to it. When you stop holding the belief that money is scarce or reserved for a chosen few. When you finally stop doing the one thing that repels abundance, seeing yourself as separate from the wealth you desire. The power to transform your financial world already lives within you. And the moment you align with that power, money becomes the one doing the chasing. Stop chasing and start assuming money responds to identity, not effort. Most people believe that the harder they chase wealth, the faster it will come. They spend their lives running after opportunities, begging for validation, trying to prove themselves worthy of financial success. But the energy of pursuit is the energy of not having. When you chase something, you confess through action and emotion that it is not yet yours. You radiate a frequency of lack, and the world, which is always a mirror, reflects that lack back to you. The person who exhausts themselves chasing money is unknowingly pushing it further away, because every chase carries the silent belief that money is distant. The universe listens not to your words or your hustle, but to your assumptions, your inner stance, the way you see yourself when nobody is watching. Assumption is the creative force of reality. What you assume to be true about yourself becomes the world you walk through. If you assume you are someone who must grind endlessly to earn a little more, life will feed you exactly that narrative. Endless struggle, small returns. But if you assume you are already a magnet for prosperity, then prosperity appears without effort, without force, without anxiety. It arrives naturally, because you finally stepped into the identity of the wealthy. Money does not come to those who want it. It comes to those who expect it, to those who assume they are the rightful possessors of abundance, to those who know wealth is their normal condition. You may think wanting money is enough, but wanting is rooted in absence. Wanting is a declaration I do not have. It signals a distance between you and your desire. That distance becomes your lived experience. The shift happens when you move from wanting to assuming possession. When you wake up and feel as though wealth is inevitable. When you walk as though you already are the person who owns the bank account you dream of. When you no longer check the price before checking your desire. When you stop asking how will money come, and start knowing money always comes. This is not fantasy, it is psychological law. Your identity sets the limits of your financial life. A person who assumes they are poor will continue to think poor thoughts, make poor decisions, speak poor words, and therefore produce poor outcomes. A person who assumes wealth thinks creatively, moves confidently, and accepts opportunities others never notice. The world always aligns with who you believe you are. So ask yourself, what identity are you practicing daily? Are you someone trying to become wealthy, or someone who already is? Most people have been conditioned to believe that wealth is something to race after. But the race never ends. They are running toward a finish line that keeps moving. Even when they achieve a little success, they remain afraid it won't last, afraid more won't come, afraid it can be taken away. That fear exposes a deeper assumption. They still see themselves as someone without money. They may hold wealth temporarily, but without the identity to sustain it, it slips away. Wealth is not maintained by savings or investments alone. It is sustained by the self-concept of one who naturally holds wealth. Stop chasing money. Become the one money chases. This shift begins internally. You must replace every "I hope" with "I know." Replace every "I wish" with "I am." Replace every "maybe someday" with "this is my reality now." See yourself differently. Speak differently. Think differently. Emotion is your evidence. If thinking of money brings tension, fear, or uncertainty, you are still chasing. When thinking of money brings calm expectation, joy, and familiarity, you are assuming correctly. The mind that chases is restless, always waiting for life to change before they can feel secure. The mind that assumes is powerful, already feeling secure, which causes life to change. The moment you drop the chase, circumstances begin to rearrange. People show up, ideas emerge, solutions you once ignored become obvious. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. Wealth has always been near you, but your assumption determines whether you recognize its presence. Every day, hold the inner knowing: money is my companion. Money moves toward me. Money seeks me. When that becomes the dominant belief, you will act like a person who is financially abundant, even before the physical money arrives, and it will. Because reality is compelled to match your internal state. That is law. So stop trying to convince the world that you deserve more. The world is not the source. You are. Stop chasing outcomes and start embodying the cause. You do not manifest what you want. You manifest what you are. Become wealth in consciousness, and money will follow like a loyal shadow. The moment you assume wealth as your identity, you cease being the pursuer. You become the one pursued. Money will chase you when you finally stop chasing it. End the inner dialogue of lack. Everything begins with the conversations happening inside your own mind. Long before money arrives in your hands, it must first arrive in your thoughts, in your beliefs, in the unseen world of imagination. Yet most people spend their mental life arguing for their limitations. I can't afford this. Money is hard to get. What if it runs out? This internal dialogue becomes the script of their financial reality. If the private thoughts are filled with fear, doubt, and scarcity, then the outer world must reflect those fears. Lack is not created in the bank account first. Lack is created in consciousness. The world you see is only a projection of the assumptions you hold. When you silently complain about not having enough, the universe hears you clearly. When you stress over bills and panic over expenses, you are rehearsing the frequency of scarcity. The outer world simply plays back the energy you consistently offer. You may speak confidently in public, but life responds to what you whisper in your own mind. And if those whispers constantly tell the story of not enough, then abundance cannot reveal itself to you. Not because it isn't available, but because you are not mentally prepared to receive it. Most people think money problems are solved by making more money. But if the inner dialogue remains rooted in fear, even more money cannot liberate them. They earn more and still feel broke. They save more and still feel insecure. They achieve gains but collapse the moment stress arrives. Why? Because the root assumption, I don't have enough, never changed. Scarcity is not a number. It is a mindset. And a mindset of scarcity contaminates even the greatest opportunities. It is not the situation that keeps you stuck. It is the story you keep repeating. Every time you speak lack, even silently, your subconscious takes it as an instruction. Your inner world begins arranging your experiences to prove you right. It shows you bills. It blocks opportunities. It magnifies every financial challenge. And without realizing it, you become a loyal servant to the reality you fear most. You become the one maintaining the prison of your own thoughts. To end lack, you must end the conversation that fuels it. You must take authority over your internal speech. Begin listening to your thoughts as though they are commands. Because they are. Notice how quickly your mind jumps to worry. Notice how instinctively you assume struggle. The moment you catch yourself rehearsing scarcity, interrupt it, replace it, reform it. Think wealth. Think wealth. Expect wealth. Not once, but continuously, until abundance becomes your dominant inner narrative. You must become the guardian of your self-talk. Treat your inner world like sacred ground, because it is the birthplace of every manifestation. Refuse to let fear speak as the truth. Train your mind to imagine prosperity as the most natural thing in your life. When a negative financial thought arises, do not argue with it. Override it. Say silently, I always have more than enough. Money finds me. Everything I require flows to me right on time. Abundance is my reality now. These are not empty affirmations, they are new assumptions. They are seeds planted in the soil of consciousness, and they will produce fruit in the physical world. The person who ends internal lack does not wait for external proof. They choose a new mental state and commit to it. They do not care if their circumstances appear unchanged, because they know circumstances are old news, a reflection of yesterday's thinking. They stop reporting what is and begin declaring what will be. They control their narrative. They refuse to be the victim of thoughts they can change. They become the architect of their experience. Your life will always seek to confirm your belief system. When your belief system becomes wealthy, your reality must become wealthy too. You might wonder, how can I feel abundant when my situation doesn't show it yet? But that question reveals the trap. The assumption that conditions create the feeling. The truth is the opposite. The feeling creates the conditions. Wealth must first exist in the unseen, inside you, before it can appear in your hands. Emotions are instructions to the universe. If the emotion of lack is dominant, your life is instructed to give you more situations that trigger that emotion. But if the emotion of abundance takes over, your life shifts to match it. This is not wishful thinking. It is the mechanics of manifestation. You will know you have ended the inner dialogue of lack when money no longer feels like a distant dream, but a natural companion. When discussing wealth feels normal rather than uncomfortable. When thoughts of prosperity feel familiar instead of foreign. When your inner world no longer panics at every challenge because you know abundance flows constantly. You become relaxed, confident, detached from fear. And ironically, that is when money finds its easiest path into your life. Every breakthrough you seek begins in the mind. You must become unavailable for poverty thinking. You must refuse to entertain the version of you that feels powerless. You must take responsibility for the story you tell yourself every single day, because that story is designing the world you live in. End the inner dialogue of lack, and abundance has no choice but to take its place. Quit trying to earn worthiness. One of the greatest illusions ever taught is that wealth must be earned through struggle, sacrifice, and relentless proving of one's value to the world. Many people wake up each day believing they must justify their existence by working harder than everyone else, by suffering more than necessary, by constantly trying to prove that they deserve even the smallest amount of financial reward. They go through life seeking permission to be wealthy, permission from society, from their family, from their employer, from the world. And in doing so, they reinforce the unconscious belief that they are not worthy of wealth as they are. The result is a constant internal battle, a feeling of inadequacy that repels abundance instead of attracting it. The truth is simple but radical: worth is not earned. Worth is inherent. You were born with the right to abundance. You do not qualify for wealth, you claim it. When you believe you must struggle to deserve prosperity, you are practicing a self-concept rooted in unworthiness. The universe responds not to what you want, but to who you believe you are. If you believe wealth is something you must fight for, life will give you endless battles. If you believe that struggle is the only path, struggle becomes your only experience. The more you try to earn worthiness, the more you confirm that you do not have it. People who feel unworthy overwork themselves not because success requires it, but because insecurity demands it. They say yes when they should say no. They undervalue their talents, undercharge for their gifts, and chase recognition in the hope that maybe one day they will feel deserving. But worthiness will never arrive from outside approval. The world merely reflects the value you assign yourself. If you believe you are worth little, life will pay you accordingly. If you elevate your sense of worth, money rises to meet you. Wealth responds to identity. The wealthy are not people who do more than others. They are people who believe they are worthy of more than others. They do not wait for someone to allow them into abundance. They do not seek validation before they choose prosperity. They do not apologize for their desires. They carry the inner knowing that their value is non-negotiable, and the world adjusts to that knowing. They ask boldly. They receive boldly. They expect boldly, and that expectation becomes their lived reality. To quit trying to earn worthiness, you must first dismantle the belief that success has to be a struggle. That belief is a trap built by generations taught to worship hardship. But struggle is not noble. It is unnecessary. You are allowed to rise with ease. You are allowed to speak confidently. You are allowed to demand what you desire without guilt, without hesitation, without fear of judgment. Your existence alone proves your worthiness. The very fact that you breathe is evidence that abundance is your natural state. When you stop negotiating with your own value, everything changes. You stop taking whatever life gives you and start choosing what aligns with the identity you hold. You stop staying in places where you are underpaid and underappreciated. You stop settling for less than you know you deserve. You stop believing that wealth is a reward for suffering, and you begin seeing it as the expression of your inner belief system. The universe is not withholding anything from you. It is waiting for you to claim who you truly are. The shift from earning worthiness to owning worthiness is the shift that unlocks abundance. It transforms the way you walk into a room. It changes the way people respond to you, the way opportunities find you, the way money is drawn to you. When worthiness becomes your foundation, lack has nowhere to attach itself. The moment you refuse to accept anything less than abundance, abundance must reveal itself. Take a moment and examine your beliefs. Do you feel guilty wanting more? Do you shrink your dreams to match what others think is realistic? Do you feel like you must apologize for your ambition? Do you say things like, "I don't deserve that yet"? Every one of those thoughts is a signal of unworthiness. And unworthiness repels wealth. It pushes prosperity away. Life cannot bless the one who rejects the blessing through insecurity. So the work is not to chase money harder. The work is to elevate your sense of self. Start telling a new story. I am valuable. I am enough as I am. I deserve abundance because abundance is my nature. I am chosen for greatness. I am worthy of every good thing life has to offer. Say these not as wishes, but as truths. Speak them until they feel natural. Wealth will not arrive because you repeated words. It will arrive because you stepped into the identity behind the words. Your inner shift becomes your outer increase. Release the belief that you must earn the right to be wealthy. Release the idea that you must chase validation before prosperity arrives. Release the lie that you must prove something to deserve more. You do not manifest what you work for. You manifest what you believe you are worthy of receiving. Stand tall and claim your inherent worth. Because the moment you stop trying to earn what is already yours, money will finally recognize you. Money will come toward you. Money will chase the one who knows they deserve it. Cease worshipping the external world. Most people live as prisoners of the visible world. They bow to circumstances, fear market conditions, and define their financial reality by what they can currently see. They look at the numbers in their bank account and accept them as truth. They observe their bills, their debts, their job limitations, and believe those facts hold ultimate authority over their future. But the moment you worship the external world, the moment you treat circumstances as the final decision makers, you give away your creative power. You hand your life to conditions that are nothing more than reflections of old beliefs. The visible world is not the source. It is the result. Everything you currently experience was first created in the invisible realm of thought and imagination. The outer world is a delayed echo of your inner assumptions. So when you judge your financial potential based solely on what exists right now, you are worshipping the past. You are accepting yesterday's beliefs as your permanent identity. You are obeying limitations that only exist because you once believed in them. People who worship the external world feel powerless. They wait for the economy to improve, for the right job to appear, for someone to give them permission to rise. But waiting is a confession of disbelief. Waiting means you still think the world must change before your inner state can change. In truth, the inner state is the cause of the outer shift. Wealth does not begin with evidence. Wealth begins with expectation. You must stop treating circumstances as the authority over your life. Circumstances are followers, not leaders. They only change after you do. When you refuse to let the physical world dictate what you believe, you step into the role of creator instead of reactor. You recognize that your imagination is the true currency of wealth. What you assume internally is always more powerful than what you see externally. Consider this: someone else, at this very moment, is becoming wealthy in the same economy you fear. Someone else is attracting opportunity in the same environment that feels limiting to you. Someone else is expanding while others contract. Reality is not universal, it is individualized. The difference is not intelligence, luck, or timing. The difference is belief. One person sees possibility and feels chosen for abundance. Another sees obstacles and feels excluded from prosperity. Life mirrors whichever one you choose to be. The external world may show lack, struggle, and delay, but all of that is temporary. It is outdated data. It is a printout of old patterns. You do not fix a printout by screaming at the paper. You change the file inside the system. Likewise, you do not fix money problems by fighting external conditions. You change the beliefs that produced them. You shift the internal pattern. And then the printout, your outer life, must reflect the updated design. When you cease worshipping the external world, you stop seeking signs before believing. You stop asking, how will this happen? You no longer wait for logic to approve your dream. You allow your desire to be the proof. You become someone who expects abundance without needing permission from circumstances. You trust the invisible more than the visible. You know that unseen forces are already working in your favor. Everything begins as an assumption, even wealth. If you assume that money is scarce, money will be scarce regardless of your efforts. If you assume that money is plentiful and always flowing toward you, the universe finds countless ways to validate that truth. Conditions are malleable. They are not fixed. The moment you reclaim your inner authority, the world must surrender and reshape itself around your new belief. The fear of the external world disappears when you recognize its true role, a servant to your inner state. You are the cause. Circumstances are the effect. External limitations are powerless unless you accept them as true. When you refuse to bow to fear, lack, or restriction, you rise above their influence entirely. Detach from what currently is. Do not define yourself by your temporary conditions. You are not your job title. You are not your debt. You are not the paycheck that arrives at the end of the month. You are the consciousness that shapes all of it. You are the one who directs the flow of money through your expectations. When you give power back to yourself, the world begins to obey rather than dictate. Let your imagination become the authority. Let your desire be the architect. Let your inner conviction override evidence until evidence rearranges itself. The wealthy become wealthy before the world knows it. Because they know it first, they do not wait for circumstances, they transform them. They do not bow to reality, they rewrite reality. Stop worshipping the external world, and you stop being controlled by it. Conditions lose their power the moment you stop treating them as truth. The only truth that matters is the one you choose to assume. Believe in your internal riches, and the physical world will be forced to reveal them. You are the master. The world is the mirror. Claim your authority, and the mirror will reflect prosperity. If you want, I'm ready to continue. Stop delaying the identity of wealth. Every person who desires financial abundance believes they will eventually become wealthy. One day. They tell themselves that when they get the promotion, when they start the business, when the economy improves, when the debts are paid, then they will step into the identity of success. But the moment you postpone becoming wealthy in consciousness, you postpone wealth in reality. Later is the most expensive word in the language of manifestation. Later keeps you waiting. Later keeps you small. Later keeps you dreaming instead of living. Later is the prison that stops millions from stepping into the version of themselves money is already looking for. Wealth does not arrive in the future. It begins the moment you embody it internally. Everything you desire is already created in the unseen, waiting for you to align with it. But alignment cannot happen tomorrow. The only moment where power exists is now. When you delay the identity of wealth, you are affirming a deeper belief: I am not wealthy yet. The universe hears only that assumption and reflects it endlessly. Every time you imagine abundance but then return to thoughts of lack, you cancel your own creation. You hold yourself in a state of becoming instead of being. And becoming has no finish line. The identity of wealth is a state of consciousness. It is how you see yourself first thing in the morning, and how you carry yourself throughout the day. It is the energy you bring into conversations, decisions, and expectations. The wealthy version of you already exists, not as a future dream, but as a present possibility waiting to be chosen. You do not need to acquire more credentials, more confidence, or more evidence before you step into that identity. You simply decide, and decision is the birthplace of transformation. When you identify as someone who is already wealthy, you stop acting from fear. You stop making decisions based on what you don't have. You stop apologizing for wanting more. You stop shrinking to fit into the small beliefs of others. You stop asking for permission to rise. You start moving like someone who knows life supports them. You start thinking solutions instead of problems. You start seeing opportunities where others see obstacles. Money becomes a natural extension of who you are, not something separate that you must chase. Most people believe identity changes when circumstances change. But the truth is the opposite. Circumstances change when identity changes. If you keep waiting for the world to show you signs that you are entitled to abundance, you will wait forever. The world does not lead. It follows. It does not decide your worthiness. Your belief does. The moment you stop delaying and declare, I am wealthy now, reality begins reorganizing around that state. This shift is not about pretending to be rich or acting arrogant. It is about stepping into self-permission. It is about feeling worthy without conditions. It is about normalizing abundance in your own mind so the universe can recognize what you are calling for. Wealth must feel familiar within you before it can appear around you. If being rich feels foreign, uncomfortable, or unrealistic, it will stay far away. The subconscious mind rejects what contradicts its identity. So if you secretly see yourself as someone who struggles, someone who barely gets by, someone who is limited, that identity will override any technique, any effort, any desire. Stop delaying the feeling of wealth. Feel it now. Wear it mentally like clothing tailored just for you. Walk with the posture of someone who is financially secure. Speak with the voice of someone who knows money flows easily. Make decisions with the confidence of someone supported by abundance. Small daily decisions shape the identity you claim. Do you buy the cheapest option out of fear, or the aligned option out of trust? Do you panic at every bill, or treat money as always replenishing? Do you rehearse worst-case scenarios, or visualize your success unfolding effortlessly? Every choice is a vote for the identity you are becoming, or the lack you are repeating. You must also stop identifying yourself through your past. Your past financial experiences do not define your future potential. They are simply reflections of who you used to believe you were. If you continue to use your history as the measure of your capability, you trap yourself in old limitations. The identity of wealth requires that you detach from the old version of yourself, the one who struggled, feared, doubted, and settled. That identity brought you here, but it cannot take you where you are going. Let the wealthy version of you take over. Imagine this version vividly. How do they dress? How do they speak? What do they expect when they open their bank account? How do they respond to challenges? How do they treat themselves? Every time you act from that identity, you broadcast a new energetic signature to the universe, and energy moves before matter. Your outer world must match your upgraded self-concept. This is why those who succeed in wealth creation often look irrational at first, because they believe in themselves long before anyone else does. They invest in ideas before there's proof. They step into roles before credentials catch up. They choose abundance before it physically arrives. They live from the end. They embody the outcome mentally so powerfully that reality has no choice but to comply. If you want money to chase you, you must stop delaying the identity of the person money chases. The identity shift does not come after you have wealth, it causes wealth. And the shift must be complete. You cannot hold on to fear with one hand and abundance with the other. You cannot claim wealth while secretly believing it is unrealistic. You cannot step into the future while remaining loyal to the limitations of your past. Every time you think, one day I will be wealthy, you push abundance into a future that never arrives. Replace that statement with, wealth is who I am now, not someday, not later, now. Claim it, feel it, live it. Reality will catch up. Stop waiting for the right time. The right time was always now. Stop waiting for validation. You are your own permission. Stop waiting for the world to change. You are the change the world must respond to. The moment you stop delaying the identity of wealth, money will recognize you. It will move toward you. It will magnetize to your presence. It will race to align with the version of you who finally knows the truth: you are already wealthy. And life must now reveal what you have decided to become.